40 years ago, our first guest tonight cut loose. He kicked off his Sunday shoes, and now he is in a new movie directed by his multi-talented wife. It's called Space Oddity. It opens in theaters and on VOD March 31st. Please say hello to Kevin Bacon.
How's it going?
How is your multi-talented wife, Kyra Sedgwick? Is she doing well?
She's still multi-talented.
Yeah?
She's excellent. She's excellent. She's home multi-talentedly making me dinner.
Oh, she is?
Yes.
What's she making for dinner tonight, do you know?
I can't remember.
Huh.
I think it might be vegan bolognese.
Oh, well, take my mother home with you.
There you go.
My mother's a vegan now. I was telling the audience
I know, I
earlier.
heard.
How long have you been married?
We've been married this year will be 35 years.
That's a lot of years.
Yeah, it's a lot of years. Yep.
It's weird when people clap for that, right? I guess maybe
It is weird.
They're clapping because they're happy for you.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I'm not really sure
Yeah.
what that. I mean, but people feel a tremendous amount of excitement about and everybody wants to ask us about The Secret, which is something that I absolutely refuse to answer.
Oh, but do you know what it is?
No.
You don't? Okay, well, yeah.
I don't. I tell you, I mean, look, marriage, let's face it doesn't work. I mean, how many people stay married? Nobody.
Marriage, so especially like actors getting married, it's like having a goldfish. Like, you're lucky if it goes 3 years.
Well,
right?
Listen, okay, if I was to give some advice, I would say the one thing you don't want to do is take a celebrity's advice on how to stay married.
Oh, okay, that's good. All right. It's kind of a cop-out, but it's good.
Yeah.
You guys, so how old were you when you had kids? 'Cause that's when you're really married.
We got pregnant on the honeymoon.
Oh, wow.
And she was, I guess, 23, and I was 30. So when we had our son, Trav, we were here in L.A. We live on the East Coast, but he had to be born in L.A. because I was finishing up a movie called Tremors.
Oh, yeah.
And,
sure.
yeah, had underground worms, and
It's kind of what a baby is, really, if you think about it.
You're right. You're right. And I had some dreams to that effect. And we didn't know anything, man. I mean, we knew nothing about raising a kid. I mean, we didn't know what we were doing. When I look at the videos, I felt like we really were children ourselves. But, you know, we were staying at a hotel. It was the Chateau Marmont here in L.A., which at that time was one of the few hotels that would allow us to bring the dog. So we had this giant dog, Jane, with us, and we had rented a car, and I don't know, I was scattered. I wasn't really thinking. Pulled up to the valet at the hotel, jumped out of the car, slammed the door, the car still running, keys in the car, windows up, baby still in the car.
Oh, boy.
And my little guy was, I think, 4 days old at the time.
Oh, wow.
So to say I lost my would be the understatement.
Yeah.
And back in those days, I'm sure nobody here is old enough to remember this, but there used to be these little triangular windows that were in certain cars that you would roll open to get a little bit of a draft.
Yeah.
It was a design that made no sense at all.
Yeah, right.
Why not just roll the window down? But this was the thing. And this amazing, heroic dude, it took him literally 3 seconds. He wrapped the towel around his fist, bam, right through that window.
Who was the guy?
He was the valet at the Chateau Marmont.
Wow.
Yeah.
He punched through the window.
Punched through it. Took it right out. I was like, wow, that's some superhero stuff right there. And reached inside, bam, it literally 5 seconds.
Wow.
I probably wasn't the first jackass that ever did that, I'm thinking, right?
I don't know. I've never heard of that before, so maybe. But that is very quick thinking. How do you reward somebody for saving your child like that? Is an edible arrangement enough?
Listen, you know, to tell you the truth, I went back many, many years, and he was there, and I said, do you remember this? And he said, yeah, and, you know, we laughed about it and stuff. But, I mean, hopefully I would like to think I tipped him well, but...
But you don't remember?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, you should have just given him the car.
Yeah.
I learned
It was
something
rented.
about you today that I cannot get over, and it can't possibly be true.
What?
That you were, when you were a kid, in a band called Footloose.
That's true. No, that is true.
How far before the
That's
movie
true.
Footloose?
Okay, well, we're going back to like Philly, where I grew up, and I was probably about 15, I think. So I can't really do the math. Footloose, I was in my 20s when I made it. And there was a band. I was playing in various bands. At that point, I was playing percussion. And there was a singer whose name was Chet Brown. He was a soul singer. And he was probably, I thought of him as like an old guy, but he was probably 18 or something. And I was in the backup band, and the name of the band was Chet Brown and Footloose. And then he changed his name to Jet Brown and Footloose. And he was great. He was a great singer. And you know, there was another guy that played in the band, a guy named Steve, and he was a guy that archived everything. You know what I mean? Always kept all the old tapes and stuff like that. And I said to him one time, I ran into him, and I said, yeah, you know, remember when I used to play in, wasn't that weird that I was playing in Footloose? And he goes, you didn't play in Footloose. He said, no, you were in the band Lonely at the Top. You were never in Footloose. And I said, yeah, I swear to God I was. Plus, it's a great story, and I want to tell it on Jimmy Kimmel. But I want to make it look like he just brought it up, and I didn't even think he was going to bring it up.
Right.
And so he said, listen, I'm going to check the archives. And he got back to me.
The archive.
Yeah.
His
And he
closet.
said, yes, I found in his closet. Right? I found a tape, and sure enough, you are listed as one of the players in Footloose.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
It sounded like a norm. Like now we go Footloose or whatever, but back then it was like Footloose and Fancy Free. That was the only time you heard Footloose.
Exactly. I know. It's weird.
That is very weird. It's almost like it was destiny in some ways. And now here you are in a movie directed by your wife, which we're going to take a look at when we come back. The movie is called Space Oddity. We'll be right back with Kevin Bacon.
I'm not selling. It'll go to a developer, and if we continue down that path, there'll be no farms left. Not to import even more from halfway around the globe. Novelists, we gotta hold on to our farms. This is our spot. It's our little corner of the world. And I'm not giving it up.
That is Kevin Bacon in Space Oddity, directed by Kyra Sedgwick, his bride.
My bride.
It is, you play a flower farmer in the movie?
Yeah, it was great. I got to do the flower farming ride-along.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, you know, they call it like the ride-along with people play cops or firemen or something. They get in or they have to go to boot camp or stuff, you know. But this was, I had to like, you know, drive a tractor and cut some flowers and, you know.
Where were all the flowers? Where were they being held?
It was up it was in, where were we? In Rhode Island. A beautiful little flower farm in Rhode Island that Kyra found that we shot the movie, and it was great. She's a great director.
I thought it was funny. She said that you were not her first choice for the role.
What? No, I don't know that.
You really don't know it?
No. Where's my phone?
I actually have a quote right here. I didn't offer my husband the part of the father at first. The actor who was supposed to do it fell out. And I was like, hey, is there any world where you might consider doing this? Kevin was like, I've been waiting for you to ask me.
Is that for real?
Yeah, that's for real.
Who was the actor?
Did you really not know that the actor was, that there was another actor?
No, but now I want to know who it was.
Yeah, I don't blame, maybe you weren't her first choice for husband either. I mean, this is really where you start to question everything.
I don't think I was.
It's going to be a very tense vegan bolognese tonight. Wow, how about that? Now, the title of the movie, Space Oddity, is obviously after the David Bowie song, great song. I played that for that song for my daughter, who's 8 years old, about, I don't know, 3 weeks ago. I was like, you have to hear this song. We laid in her bedroom and in the dark and listened to it, and it's just great.
And you know, the fact there's a beautiful Brandy Carlisle cover of Space Oddity in the movie. Brandy just, you know, kills it. So
that's great.
Yeah.
And he's fantastic.
Yeah, love Bowie, and I you know, it was when I saw the name of the movie, I thought this is it's such a great name for what's going on in this film. And also, I have a lot of fondness both for David Bowie just musically, but also a really interesting thing happened when I was directing a movie that Kyra was producing called Loverboy. And it was a tiny little movie. We made it for just over $1 million.
What year was this?
Probably about, sometime, I'm so bad with years, but maybe in the early 2000s or something. And my daughter, Sosie, who's an actress, was about 10 years old at the time. And this was the first gig that she ever got. I asked her to play Kyra as a little girl in flashback. And in the scene, this kind of awkward little girl is supposed to perform something for her school, and she decides to start singing Life on Mars, which is an incredible David Bowie song, a cappella to her school group. And everybody's like, this is so weird, this girl's so weird. And Sosie sang the hell out of it, and it was in the script, and I knew that with this movie of this size, that trying to get the licensing for that song was going to be completely impossible. So I said to the writer, we can't shoot a David Bowie song. We can't shoot, because we'll never get it. And she's refused to take it out of the movie. Cut to, I'm at a party, and David Bowie is there. And I don't like actor schmactor. I can meet any actor. It's not that big a deal. When I meet like my rock gods, I really pee my pants. I mean, it can be very overwhelming in a weird way.
Yeah.
But he was very nice, and he struck up a conversation with me, and he said, you know what? I watched a lot of your movies to learn how to do an American accent.
Come on.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, and my jaw just dropped. You can
Wow.
imagine. I mean, you can imagine. I was like, Bowie. And so I said, listen, since I have you here, someday there may be a request coming across your desk. We're hoping to make this tiny little movie, and there's a scene in it where a little girl is going to sing Life on Mars a cappella. So if that does happen to fall into your lap, can you please show pity on us and give us a break on the cost of the song? And we got her for a song.
Wow, you got a song for a song. How about that?
I don't know if he had anything to do with it or not.
Of course he had something to do with it.
It was a great scene in the movie. So
yeah, well, that's pretty great. That's fantastic.
It was a cool night.
Well, it's great to see you. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for
movie's
having
called
me.
Space Oddity, as you just heard. It opens theaters and video on demand starting March 31st. Kevin Bacon, everybody. We'll be back with Paul Buster.